These are very much our first impressions, but it's a fair bit smaller than the Xbox, very slim and stylish. Plus it's got a cool neon light. The design of it gives it a bit more personality than the Xbox, I think.
Yeah, I like the look of it a lot, especially the vents at the back. It makes it look like a spaceship. But they have brought back the touch-sensitive buttons, and I don't like them because they're quite hard to push, and my cat pushes them and it turns on and off and rah.
Well, you can turn it on and off with your controller, Barjo. My sensors have observed that the PS4 runs hotter than the Xbox, which makes it a bit noisier than the Xbox One when it's in use.
True, but the PS4 is still quieter than the PS3, so it's not a huge problem.
Guys, I really love the new controller. The old thumbsticks have been swapped out for new ones with little ridges around the edges, which means no more sweaty thumbs slipping off them. Plus, they're a bit further apart, so you don't knock your thumbs together.
I think it's much better than the PS3's controller. It just feels better in the hands, but still feels like a PlayStation controller. It's also got a touchpad on the top that clicks in like a button, so I'm interested to see how developers use that in games.
You can also plug a headset into the controller, which is a big deal for chatting with friends online. You can now party chat no matter what you or your friends are doing on the console.
There's a tiny speaker on the front too, so some games will play sounds from it like a Wiimote. And I really like the new share button because by pressing it you can share pictures and video of your games with your friends.
Yes, but right now those features are very limited, so I hope they evolve that a bit more in the future. I also wish they'd evolve the menu operating system. It's not too far removed from the previous one, and PlayStation 3's was pretty confusing and clunky. It's also important to note that if you want to play online with PlayStation 4, you'll need to subscribe to PlayStation Plus, which does cost money. But much like the Xbox One, you only need one account per console. We also haven't been able to test out the remote play with the PlayStation Vita, and that's a pretty big feature, so we'll have to get back to that when it becomes available, Hex.
Okay guys, should we check out one of the PlayStation 4's launch titles? Knack.
Well, Knack, let the adventure begin.
I can't wait.
There's a war afoot between the humans and goblins, but one clever scientist has discovered a secret weapon, Knack. He's a living swarm of magical ancient relics. You might start off small, but by absorbing more relics, he can grow into a giant rock monster.
Yeah, it's definitely a cool power. I wish I had my own pet Knack. And when all the tiny bits of rock are flying around, you get a taste of that new PS4 hardware at work. It looks great. You can also use a handy dodge to duck out of the way of enemy attacks, which is cool.
The game is a hybrid of platforming and beat-em-up action, and I fear I must complain about the level structure. The game only allows you to move through very small areas, so the platforming is awfully basic.
Yes, the gameplay doesn't feel very next-gen, does it? Plus, Knack dies so easily from enemies, and also the checkpoints are really long, which can be frustrating. Knack's a giant rock monster. He shouldn't get hurt so much. He should barely get a scratch.
We have only had a small amount of time with Knack, but I've got to say, from what I've played so far, it just doesn't feel like a must-have title. I think if you're getting a PS4, then you're better off starting out with something like Lego Marvel or Skylanders.
Yes, Knack must join us in our expedition.
A lot of Spawnlings have been asking us which console should you get, and it's always a tough decision. I guess feature-wise they're about the same, and power-wise they're about the same too. Really, it's all about the games.
Yeah, and I guess think back to the previous generation of games as well, because a lot of those games will have sequels on the new generation.
This is true, Hex, but for now, we need to go answer some questions at the Ask Good Game desk.
Good idea.
Yes. Darren, can you look after the consoles, please?
Oh, affirmative.
Don't break them.
Affirmative.
Don't break them.
Hello. Are you comfortable?
Good game.
Oh, no.
No, wait, we're not here to pick anything up. In fact, we have something we'd like to give you. Go on, Darren.
I just wanted to give you this. I made it myself. Just to say thanks, Mr. Mailman, for all your hard work.
And?
Oh, you do a great job, so have a lovely holiday.
Oh, this is lovely. Thank you. Thank you, Darren.
You're welcome. Good job, Darren.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank you. Oh.
It's really nice of you to bake that cake for the mailman, Darren. I think you really enjoyed it.
Oh.
Okay, new console time.
Let's start with the Xbox One. It's a pretty chunky box, isn't it? I must say it is quieter than the previous 360 though, which is good because the 360 sounded like it came with its own wind tunnel. I really like the controller, Hex. What do you think of it?
I love it. It's not that much of a departure from the old controller, which is fine by me because I really liked the old design as well. But there is something new under the surface of the controller too, trigger rumble. We're so used to that rumble being in the palm of our hands, but now we get that feedback in our fingers, which is so cool.
The Kinect's had an upgrade as well. The camera is now a bit better, and also it recognises you when you step into the room. And much like the old Kinect, it also comes with voice recognition, although I found it only recognised me about half the time. But I always struggle with that a bit, Hex. Xbox, go home!
That's not what I sound like. It worked a little bit better for me. I just still feel a bit weird talking to my console. I like the on-screen menu though, and it's nice and snappy too.
Oh, affirmative. The focus on this console's operating system is on allowing you to do several things at once. By snapping, you can place apps, websites, and TV feeds on one side of the screen while your game is in the middle.
Yeah, it all works really well, and once you get your head around it, it's quite easy to pause and resume and do other things.
One new important feature is now you only need one Xbox Live account per console, so you don't need to buy a different account for every single person in the house.
Both new consoles are making a big deal about sharing videos of your gameplay on social media, and the Xbox One lets you capture up to 5 minutes of your game to upload.
Yeah, I like that feature a lot, Darren. But let's have a look at one of its games, Forza 5.
My first impressions are that, while it's undeniably an extremely pretty game, it doesn't look like a huge leap over Forza 4 on the 360. But I think that's probably more of a testament to just how good Forza 4 looked.
There are some new next-gen features, though, such as the cloud-powered AI.
Essentially, the game is constantly monitoring how you and everyone else drives. It then takes that data and creates virtual drivers known as drivatars based on their driving behaviour. They then download these virtual clones into everyone's game so that you're racing against virtual versions of your friends and strangers.
Yeah, I was a bit unsure of this feature at first, but it's actually very cool. We definitely noticed a few occasions where the AI was making very human mistakes and behaving in pretty interesting ways. But it's always fun to try and take down your friends, even if they are just digital clones. And you actually get credits for races your drivatar does while you're not even playing.
I think the most important thing is the driving and handling feels much better. And it was already pretty good. Cars really feel alive, and I have to say the trigger rumble is pretty amazing. You can feel your car losing grip as you accelerate too hard around those corners. It makes you want to be a better driver, and it tests the limits of your car.
There are only about half the cars and tracks that there were in Forza 4, which is a bit of a shame, but at least now they've included iconic Aussie track Bathurst, which is really cool.
In full disclosure, we haven't quite played enough of this game to feel comfortable scoring it yet, but we are enjoying it so far.
No, absolutely, and it really is a top-notch racer, so it's worth checking out if you're getting a new Xbox. Okay, should we see how the PlayStation 4 compares?
Yes.
Affirmative.
Oh, it's not that heavy.
Oh.